today is the beginning of a 7-week series on abundance. It's based on the teachings of Science of Mind master teacher David Owen Ritz. Some of you may know of him. At the end of today's message, I'm going to ask you to make a decision that could utterly change your life. You could do nothing more than come and hear the messages every week, and you'll surely get something from them, I think. Or you could decide to jump into the program with both feet and take all the actions it recommends. It is totally up to you. However, I can make you this promise. If you decide to take action on the ideas we'll be exploring over these weeks, you will not be the same person at the end of them as you are today. Your life will not be the same either. I can make this promise because of what happened to me. When I came to Unity years ago, my sense of abundance and life's possibilities was very weak. I was unhappy in my marriage, having trouble with my teenage sons. I was unhappy with my job and my finances. Practicing the principles of this series consistently, even though at times imperfectly, has transformed my life. Today, my life is overflowing with loving relationships, the satisfaction of worthwhile work, good health, fun, and enough money for everything I need and want. And I live with a level of peace and faith and trust I did not even know was possible. Now, this did not come about by just showing up at church every now and then. I took classes and read spiritual books and embraced Unity principles with all my heart, and sought support and followed the guidance that felt right. It took a commitment, but the thing is, you see, I really wanted to change. And let's be honest, what of value does not require a commitment? Okay, so let's get started. Abundance is a spiritual reality that can never be altered. Abundance is a spiritual reality that can never be altered. The great spiritual masters of all the ages have taught that life is naturally abundant. Lack, limitation, and poverty may be facts in our world, but the truth is there is no lack whatsoever in the universe. Supply is unlimited. While we may believe this intellectually, most of us have not fully integrated it, and I include myself in that. We fear and doubt, and in doing so, we block the flow of good into our lives. But this does not change the law that God is the one and only source of our good, and that this good is unlimited. All power, intelligence, wisdom, and energy are manifestations of the one infinite source. When we are able to place our total faith in this truth, we will have the key to unlimited abundance in our hands. Each week, we recite the 5 foundational Unity principles. Number 1, that there's only one presence and one power in the universe, and that power is absolute good and unconditional love. In principle 2, we learn that we human beings have divine potential within us because we are made in the image and likeness of God. And principle 3 goes a step farther and says that we create the experience of our lives by our way of thinking, feeling, and acting. This is a path of personal responsibility which flies in the face of victim consciousness. It is also a formula for awakening spiritual power. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, Jesus says simply, "Your Father is pleased to give you the kingdom." Now, when Jesus talks about the Father, he's not talking about that man with the white beard up in heaven. He's talking about the infinite ground of being, the creator, the source. The kingdom is the field of infinite possibility in which we live and move and have our being. What Jesus is saying is that everything we need and want is already here. The field of infinite possibility and the power to draw from it everything we need to create an abundant life. However, having the power to do something and knowing how to use that power are often two very different things, are they not? You have a computer, right? It has lots and lots of power. It can do thousands of things. But most of us don't know how to access even a small percentage of what it can do we? That's our situation with the laws of abundance. Since we do not know how to use the gifts of the kingdom, lack, limitation, and poverty show up as facts in our world. But this does not change the truth, which is always universal, unlimited good. New Thought teaches that facts and capital T truth are very different. Truth is that which does not change. You can ignore truth. You can deny it. You can believe things totally opposite of it, but you cannot change it. Truth is always there, and it's always the same, whether you believe it or not. And the truth is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience in a loving and supportive spiritual universe. Yet our facts don't often reveal this truth, do they? We go around believing in lack and limitation. It can be in anything. We go around believing that there's a shortage of something. And therefore, of course, we create lack and limitation and shortage. But there is very good news. Our beliefs are our choice. Our beliefs are not truth, and so they can be changed. Over the course of this 7 weeks, we have the opportunity to gain greater awareness of truth. And if we decide to place our faith in this truth, rather than the appearances or facts we've created so far, this truth will set us free from the experience of lack and limitation. Now, I think we need to start by creating a common understanding of the word abundance. Right now, there are probably 100 different ideas among you of what abundance looks like. So let's agree, for the duration of the series, that abundance is far more than accumulated wealth or a large income. True abundance is good in all its forms: money, health, happiness, peace, love, fulfillment. In short, abundance is the power to satisfy our needs and make our dreams come true. So let's make this our working definition. Abundance is the power to satisfy our needs and make our dreams come true. So let's be honest. Most of us have used our inherent power to create lots of conditions and situations that cannot possibly be called abundance. And why is that? Because we really don't know what the true source of abundance is. And we don't know how to open ourselves to the flow of that good into our lives. We're told over and over again that this is what we need to do, but we've never been told how to do it. And the thing is, we've been on the wrong track. We've been busy following the myths of the material world and chasing things, especially money and possessions, that we think will bring us security, satisfaction, and happiness. But reality is that a truly abundant life can only be discovered through greater awareness of God and our own spiritual nature and potential. The pursuit of money and possessions, even relationships for that matter, for their own sake will not lead to a greater understanding or experience of abundance. On the contrary, these things are like water that flows through our hands. Like the more we try to grasp onto them, the more elusive they become. The truth is, the more we seek to share what we have, the more we seek to trust our lives, the more we seek to love ourselves, and the more we release ourselves from these unreal dependencies that we have, the more we'll enjoy spiritual freedom and abundance. I know this sounds like a paradox. Most of us have been taught that to be prosperous is about getting more. Love and stuff and money and security, and then hold on to them really, really tight. But in fact, abundance is an experience that comes as a result of living from a higher level of thought, do you see? It's living from a consciousness of faith and gratitude, and making our only pursuit the understanding of God as the one true infinite source of our good. This is really, really important, that there is only one source of our good. And it's not our job, nor our partner, or money, or the stock market. These are merely channels. The source from which everything flows is the creative power of the universe. And the only way to activate it in all its forms is through the total embrace of this truth. And most of us are not there yet. I just want to read to you Jesus' statement on the subject of abundance, which is found in the Gospel of Luke. And you all know it. You've heard it before. It's probably the finest lesson on prosperity ever spoken. And Jesus is speaking to people just like you and me. People who have different forms of lack in our lives. People who are worried about the outcome of things. They're just like us. So this morning, I'd like to offer us the opportunity to listen to this message of Jesus with our whole heart. Really concentrate on it. I know it's interesting because I don't know how often I've read it, but when I was reading it for this message, tears came up to my eyes because I felt the power of it in a whole new way. So I hope for that for you. So Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body is more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than birds? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? If you are not able to do so small a thing as this, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither soil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Therefore, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not keep striving for what you will eat or drink, and do not keep worrying, for it is the nations of the world that strive after these things. And your Father knows that you need them. Instead, strive for his kingdom, and these things will also be given to you. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give alms. Make purses for yourselves that do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven, where no thief can come near and take it from you, where no moth can destroy. For where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And where your treasure is, there also is your heart. And what is the heart? What is the purse that won't wear out? Where is that treasure that can't be exhausted or stolen? What in you cannot be affected or controlled or destroyed by what goes on in this world? Only your consciousness. Jesus is talking about consciousness. He's talking about awareness. He's talking about faith. Now, he's not saying that we are literally to sell all our possessions and give the money away. He's saying to become mentally and emotionally unattached to material stuff and use our energy to build our consciousness. And then he says, everything else we need will come without any need to pursue them. No matter what happens, if we have the consciousness of knowing that God is the unlimited source of our good, we can we can thrive through any storm. Jesus is talking about how natural abundance is too. He says, look around you. Take a look at nature. It doesn't struggle. It doesn't strive. But he says, you do. You worry all the time. You believe in lack and you believe in limitation, and that is why you struggle. But look around you. Nothing else in nature is doing that. We understand this intellectually, but we don't really get the idea in our hearts. When we worry or overwork or fret or complain or hoard or withhold our good, we step out of the flow. Through our consciousness of lack, we make an exception to the great law of infinite abundance that governs this entire universe. Consider this. We human beings are the only of God's creations that even have the ability to worry or believe in lack and thereby put itself outside the flow. And a big part of this, I'm probably going to step on some toes here now, but I will. The big reason we do that is that we do not understand what money is. And most of us have a fairly dysfunctional relationship with it. We give money way too much power. We give it power over our happiness, our sense of security, and our well-being, and our self-worth, and our attitude toward life, and our mood, you name it. When in truth, money in and of itself does not have that power, unless, of course, we choose to give it that power. And if we do, it has it. Money, rightly understood, is but a symbol, a medium of exchange that we have collectively agreed upon. As it comes in, we exchange it for goods and services, and it goes back out into the world. See, we don't own money. Money's in constant flow. It comes into our lives, we spend it, it goes back out. Money teaches us what the law of circulation looks like. Because I'll tell you something. If money didn't continue to flow, no one would be abundant. There would be no prosperity, right? It's all about flow. It's all about circulation. Seen from a higher perspective, money is a manifestation of creative energy flowing in and through our lives. We use it as one way to bring prosperity into our lives, but it is never, ever the source of our prosperity. When we believe there's a shortage of money, it becomes, in fact, a symbol of lack. We begin to struggle to get more of it. We begin to be apprehensive about spending it. Well, consider this idea. You're out in the yard and you're watering the flowers in your garden. And then by mistake, You step on the water hose. What happens to the flow of the water? It reduces itself to a trickle. One great outcome of this series would be for us to learn to trust in the circulation of money through our lives as completely as we trust the circulation of blood in our veins. Both are natural, both are constant, and both are part of the divine plan. So over the next few weeks, what I hope is that you will join me in becoming increasingly aware of how I think and talk about abundance. Imagine there's a little elf sitting on your shoulder, watching you, and tapping you every time you use the word only. This little elf is going to help us wipe out the word only completely. Our words, spoken or silent, have power. For example, should I say, I can't afford to do that, i.e. go to Hawaii, or I only make $25,000 a year, let's say, the universe, which always echoes back our thoughts, responds by saying, right you are. You can't afford that. And creative thought ends there. But if I continue to understand that God is my source and the flow is endless, creative thought, ideas, brings me the way to do what I want to do and get where I want to go. Make sense? It's all about creative ideas. So this series is all about challenging and changing those limited beliefs that we carry, a lot of times subconsciously. Because belief in limitation has got to be eliminated and healed for us to experience true abundance. There are no shortcuts or quick fixes, I'm sorry to say. The process of raising consciousness takes time and commitment. We spent a lifetime building up our belief in lack and limitation. Can't you remember some of the things your parents told you when you were that big? There's never enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I am, made of money? You've heard it. All right? It'd be nice if we could open up a hole in us somehow and just empty that stuff out, but it doesn't really seem to work that way. Commitment is the key. And it's a word that's often misunderstood, that has something to do with something that's hard or something we have to do that we don't want to do. The commitment we're talking about today is going to be different. It's an experiment, really. It's a way in which we're going to prove for ourselves once and for all that the path to abundance that the world tells us is 100% wrong. We're going to prove for ourselves that the path to have more of everything we want and need is to give that very same thing away. Now that's an interesting thought. But remember, it's all about circulation. This is going to be a challenging thing because it's going to feel strange. It's going to feel different. But in 7 weeks' time, I'm telling you, we're going to alter the flow by opening up channels so that we become channels of good in the world and life gives back to us more of what we're giving out. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to tithe. Don't leave. There's more. Your time, your talent, and your treasure. And I'm going to ask you to tithe those things to a source of spiritual nourishment. I'm asking you to go home today and sit down and decide what you will tithe, what your tithes will be for these 7 weeks, and also where they will go. Believe it or not, some of you will decide to tithe 20 or 30% of your income and talent and treasure. Others will say, well, I can only do 5% or 10%. And you know what? That's not the most important thing about this. The most important thing about this, and I can't stress it enough, is to be intentional. This is not about shelling out $1 to somebody standing on the street or digging into your pocket at the end of a church service. It's about being intentional about what you will give and intentional about where you will give it. So that's the first. That's tithing of your money, time of your Tithing of your time. This should be interesting. I started this myself. Tithing of your time is about giving a certain percentage of your time every day to your spiritual growth. Is there a program you want to watch on the internet? Maybe you want to sign up for Peggy's and my prayer class that's coming up. Do you want to increase the time of your meditation and prayer? It's about tithing this time to your own spiritual growth. Tithing treasure is the same that I've been talking about. Take a percentage of what comes in and decide when, how much, and where you're going to give that. In doing this, something more is going to happen. And this, again, is personal experience. When I tithe my money, not only does more money come back in, and I'm not kidding you, I'm talking about in the mailbox coming in. Something else happens. I begin to see myself as a giver to life. I begin to see myself as more powerful. This is probably the biggest gift that there is. And tithing your talent means giving your gifts to the world. Jessica steps up and says, I'll sing for the church. You might want to do more service here. You might want to volunteer for Martha's Mission or for another organization that means a lot to you. But tie your gifts and talents to the world as well. And as for those of us who consider ourselves givers to life already, my challenge today is step it up. Let's go to another level. All right, we're not giving in order to get. We're giving because we know that the law of circulation is how everybody thrives. I'm confident that you're going to see results if you will do these things. Because it's universal law that what we give to life is what life gives back to us. We just heard that this morning. So if I give more time to my spiritual growth, I'm going to grow spiritually. If I give more energy in loving service to people, I'm going to have more love in my life. If I give more of my money, I'm going to have more money, and I'm going to see myself as a channel of abundance. So that's why I'm calling this program Love in Action. And if you're willing to be known as an intentional giver of your time, talent, and treasure, I'm going to invite you to put your name on a sheet of paper that's out there on the foyer. And if you do, I'm going to make you a name tag that says something like, Love in Action, I participate in the law of circulation. Don't believe me? Give it a try. So commitment to the Love in Action experiment offers the experience of feeling what it's like to be an unconditional giver to life. We'll get more, but that's not why we're doing it. We're giving more in order to feel what it's like to be love in action, to be in sync with the infinite universe, and to be a co-creator with God. Any takers? Got a few, got one, two, look at you. Oh, you're not going to tell me. You don't have to. I'm inviting you to do this. God bless you all. God bless you. So I'd like to invite you to prepare for a time of meditation. You set aside anything you may be holding in your lap and place both feet on the floor so that you feel nice and grounded. Gently straighten your spine. So we simply relax for a moment. Breathe. Picture now your own heart. Can you picture it beating in your chest? Such a miracle. yourself to become very still. God is our source. To know this is to hold the secret of life. God is love. The vibration of life energy that causes all creation. We are living and breathing in God. God is the substance of which all things are made. God is absolute good. Limitless abundance that is constantly pressing itself into me and you. There has never been separation between God and us. The messages of the world tell us there is separation. They tell us there is lack. But that is not the truth. So now in this time of silence, let us untether our minds from the world and soar free from limited thinking. Let us join our individual minds with divine mind and repeat to ourselves, I am one with God, source of all that is. I am one with God, the source of all that is. In the silence. Is my source, and nothing is withheld from me. I am an open vessel, and the infinite life force of the universe flows through me. As I become a blessing to life, life blesses me.